Going to call the personnel meeting to order for October 20th, 2021. And we'll start with courtesy of the floor. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the committee? Seeing no one, we'll move on. And we're going to go to interview of applicants for controller's vacancy. As you know, our controller, Basile, passed away tragically, and we have to fill this vacancy within 30 days. As we had put this out, and we received one application, and that was from Mr. Richard Zaborski. Mr. Zaborski filled in the past at one time either. I'm sorry. So I don't know if, do you want to come up, Mr. Zaborski? I don't know if anybody's going to have any questions for you, but you might as well come up to the podium.
Thank you.
And is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say, that, to quote Yogi Berra, this is deja vu all over again. But I'm here to, I'm very happy to be here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Zaborski?
Well, first of all, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you.
But one thing that I did want to point out that I think needs to be addressed, and that's the Home Rule Charter. The section that our solicitor pointed out to us says that if a vacancy in the office occurs in the first 2 years in the term of office, it says that the individual shall be appointed in accordance with the preceding paragraph, and that's what we're here to do today. But it says that that person is supposed to serve only until the certification of the results of the next election to be held in the county, no sooner than 60 days after the occurrence of the vacancy. Now, the Home Rule Charter does not specify municipal election, primary election, general election, so there is no indication there. And then, so to me, that means that the next election is the primary in May. And then, you know, the other thing that I looked at is I said, well, what about the state constitution? So I went to that, and the reference there says that all elections for judges of the courts of the several judicial districts, county, city, ward, borough, and township officers for regular terms of office shall be held on the municipal election day. But this is not a regular term of office, so that didn't apply. I went to the county code, and the county code envisions gubernatorial appointments or court appointments for vacancies at the county level positions. My sense is that the intent of the Home Rule Charter was to have a provision for a special election. I know that there are opinions against that, but either way, I do think you'll do an adequate job as you had in the past. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Right. I would say one way or the other, though, we have to appoint someone right now, so then we can jump on that. Any other questions for Mr. Zaborski?
I have
Mr.
a
McGee?
comment.
Comment.
I just appreciate you stepping up to the plate here for the service of the county as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a great job in the past, and we appreciate you coming back to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Vargo Hefner.
Thank you for stepping up. Do you have any reservations about rejoining us again?
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, all I look at it is like there's a couple great Buckies that have stepped forward in October. One was Dent, and now you're the other, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right. I would say I'd take a motion to move this forward to the county council meeting tomorrow for his appointment.
So moved.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zaborski. All right, let us move on. Now we're going to go to the review of the county executive's appointments for farmland preservation, General Purpose Authority, Jail Advisory Board, Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Advisory Board. First, I have this. I'm submitting the following individual for reappointment as a Farmer Director Township Supervisor to the Farmland Preservation Board, and that would be Roger Unangst from Bath, Pennsylvania. Mr. Unangst is being considered for a 4-year term to begin October 22nd, 2021, and end June 30th, 2024. Are there any questions?
No.
So, oh, did you want to say something?
I was just
Ms.
going to
Rinsky.
say that Mr. Unix is currently serving on the farmland preservation and has been for at least the 4 years that I've been there, and from my understanding, many, many more years before that. And he is a very good public servant to farmland preservation.
All right. So let's,
Yeah, I'll just second that. He's, when I served as liaison, he was on Farmland Preservation Board. Outstanding farmer and wonderful member of that board.
myself also, and I was the liaison. That may have been him or his father, if we go back that far, but anyway. So, all right.
How far back is that then?
I don't want to get into it. Is there a motion to move this forward? I don't know if we need one.
So moved.
Thank you, Lori. All right, next we're going to go to, we are submitting oh boy. I'm submitting the following individual for reappointment to the General Purpose Authority. Charles Dertinger, Bangor, PA. Mr. Dertinger is being considered for a 5-year term to begin January 1st, 2022, and to end December 31st, 2026. Are there any comments? And don't all yell at once. Anything?
I serve with Mr. Dertinger currently. He's done an admirable job in a messy situation. I would highly recommend him to be reappointed.
That's not what you told me in the back. But
No, that's okay. I'm
All
at
right.
him now. I would ask him if he has enough antacid to continue a second term, but I'm sure he does.
He'll be fine. Do you want to say something?
Just move it.
All right, let's move it. All right, Ms. McGee,
Motion to
we're
move.
moving it on. Thank you. All right, next we have, I'm submitting the following individual for appointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Paul Patrick, Easton, Pennsylvania. Mr.
No,
Patrick,
you missed one. Ron Donchez as a reappointment also.
I am submitting the following individual for reappointment to the General Purpose Authority. Ronald Donchis, Bethlehem, PA. Mr. Donchis is being considered for a 5-year term to begin January 1st, 2022, and to end December 31st, 2026. Any comments?
Mr. Donchez serves as our treasurer. He's done an admirable job cleaning up the financial reporting system, and it's easy to follow, and he's done great work, and I would highly recommend him also.
So are you,
Motion to move.
thank you. Okay, so let's see. Now we're going to go. I'm submitting the following individual for appointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Paul Patrick, Easton, PA. Mr. Patrick is being considered for a 2-year term to begin January 1st, 2022, and to end December 31st, 2023. Comments? Questions? Motion to move it forward?
Motion to move forward.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I think I've got this. I am submitting the following individual as a reappointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Jody Ruggiero, Bethlehem, PA. Ms. Ruggiero is being considered for a 2-year term to begin January 1st, 2022, and to end December 31st, 2023. Questions, comments?
I served with her the time I had on. I'm sure Kevin has good things to say about her. She's a very dedicated member to the board. I would motion to move her forward.
Great. All right. Next, we have, I am submitting the following individual for an appointment to the Parks, Recreations, and Open Space Advisory Board. John M. Mauser, Bangor, PA. Mr. Mauser's term will expire on March 19th, 2023. Are there any comments, questions? Oh, somebody put their hand up?
Did you just put your hand up? Oh, I was going to say something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mrs.
I've
Ritchie.
worked with John Mauser on a number of environmental issues, and I think he is a great addition to any advisory board, and I would respect his opinions and his participation there.
Motion to move?
All right, very good. All right, that takes care of his appointments. They've all been moved to tomorrow's meeting. Next item on the agenda is review of a personnel request, Department of Human Services, Graysdale. I'm going to read the letter that was forwarded to us that Mr. Dunlap sent to Mr. McClure. For your consideration and approval, we are requesting to eliminate 5 part-time dietary aid positions at .64 FTE, that's full-time equivalent, each to create 3 full-time dietary aid positions. The 5 positions to be eliminated are currently vacant. 1 dietary department manager made the request to Graysdale administration for these changes in an effort to fill and better staff the dietary department. Filling these positions would ensure timeliness of meals for the residents and improved efficiency within the dietary department. And attached, you will see the request for position creation with all the numbers regarding the elimination, creation, and the cost factors. So I see Brian's here. If anybody has any questions, he's here to answer them, I would assume. So there you are. Anybody want to ask any questions, anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess a simple question. I mean, I guess if we can't find people to work part-time, why would upgrading these to full-time, what makes you think that it'll be more attractive? Because of the benefits? Is that, people have been saying, I'm not going to work this because there's no benefits? Is that?
Well, historically, these positions are filled by college students and high school students. And unfortunately, now, given the time of the year, the college students have vacated the positions, be with going back to school, and now college is actually being, in person this year. And additionally, we're also not seeing high school students really applying for these positions that they historically would have. So now the full-time positions become more attractive to a different set of individuals that may be seeking jobs. And Sodexo, who has our contract to essentially run our dietary department and manage it, has actually successfully done this in other facilities where they see the same issues, that the part-time positions are not being filled because the pool of individuals that historically take these positions are just not applying, and they've had success when it's a full-time position getting them filled.
Okay, so we have 3 meals a day. Are there 2 separate shifts here that you're looking to fill?
Well,
Or how does that work?
They vary. The shifts vary, because people can come into the kitchen as early as 5 o'clock in the morning and might not leave till 11 o'clock at night, depending on the day. And the dietary aids can help out in multifacets within the kitchen. Helping the tray line during mealtime, prepping the trays, getting the carts loaded up and ready to go, delivering the carts to the floor, running to get dry supplies down out of the basement, even washing pots and pans.
Yeah, I see cafeteria workers every day, and they work hard. What's the starting salary for this position? Hourly rate?
Oh, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't have the calc in front of me.
Yeah, I think your sheet, it's a aggregate number, so I don't think it's broken down as to each individual. But you would have that, you could have that information tomorrow.
Yeah, we could supply that.
All right. Anything else? We finished. Any other questions from any other council members? Seeing none, I would recommend that we move this forward, and Brian will make sure we get the other information by tomorrow night. So, motion to move it? Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that's all I have on my agenda. Is there anything else for the Personnel Committee, Council? Seeing nothing, I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and I guess we go to Finance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Starting the Finance Committee, welcome. Is there anyone for public comment? Would be the time now. Seeing none, move on with the agenda. We're going to start out with a presentation from RKL. Jill Gilbert is on the phone with us today. And I think she's going to do a little overview. Hi, Jill. Bill McGee here. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Great. The floor is yours.
Good. Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. I appreciate you accommodating me via phone today. So I just wanted to go over some highlights of the financial statement audit. So we've completed your audit for the year ended December 31st of 2020. I just wanted to give a little bit of information about our firm. So RKL has nearly 500 team members, and we have offices all across Pennsylvania. Aside from serving counties, we also serve authorities, other municipalities, and special districts. A couple things about the audit process. What I just wanted to do today is to go over the audit process and then also go over some high-level financial results. So we started out planning for the audit in December and January of 2021. So this involved meetings with fiscal as well as the controller's office, just basically going through our audit scope as well as looking at internal controls. We also did some board and management inquiries. Our actual field work started in March of 2021. We did most of that field work off-site, so the controller's office was able to scan us most of the documents. We did have persons on site at different times just to look at some documents that were not able to be scanned to us. So we did a bunch of testing during that. And then we did issue our audit report. That was dated July 19th of 2021. So everyone should have received a copy of that. Just a couple of significant areas I wanted to mention. We do a test of your controls. We also looked at revenue recognition. Some of the significant audit areas were cash and investments, liabilities and payables, your pension and Opeb, and finally, we reviewed any accounting estimates that you have. As I said, we did issue our report on July 19th. That was our general purpose financial statements. The county does also issue a comprehensive annual financial report, and that was issued on July 28th of 2021. We did not have any audit adjustments that were identified by RKL, and there were no unrecorded misstatements. So there were no adjustments we proposed that were not recorded. Also, there were no internal control findings. We did not encounter any disagreements with management, nor were we aware of any consultations with management. Our management letter was also dated July 19th, and that also had been provided separately to council. One item that still remains outstanding from December 31st of 2020 is the compliance audit, also referred to as the single audit. So this is where we test your federal expenditures. The two programs that we will be testing this year are medical assistance and the Coronavirus Relief Fund. The Coronavirus Relief Fund was part of the CARES Act funding. The compliance requirements for that came out late. So the due date for that is normally September 30th. However, that was extended because of the lateness of the compliance. The due date for that is now December 31st. And our goal is to finish everything up in the month of November. Just to kind of update, we have been through a lot of the testing for that. And to date, we have not found any issues. Before I get into the financial highlights, does anyone have any questions? And it was a little difficult on the phone, but does anyone have any questions on the actual financial statement process?
Not seeing any.
Okay, great. Just a couple of high-level financial items. At the end of 2020, your net position was about $139 million, and that compared to $90 million in the previous year, consisting of assets of about $421 million and liabilities of $282 million. Looking to your changes in net position, so your income and expenses, your income was $403 million. That compared to the previous year at $357 million. Expenses were $355,000, very comparable to $355 million compared to $346 million of the previous year. The majority of your revenue is made up of grants. That is $261 million. And then you have real estate taxes making up $100 million of that. And then some other smaller categories bringing everything out. As far as your expenses for the governmental activities, human services was the largest expense, very comparable to last year at $213 million. Next largest expense was your court and corrections at about $75 million compared to $80 million of the prior year. When I look at your largest fund, which is your general fund, I compare that to budget. You were pretty much in line with budget for your real estate taxes, a little bit over $100 million, which is the same as the budget was. Grants were close to $35 million, budgeted at $36 million. So those were your two largest revenue items compared to budget. And then for, again, the general fund, if we look at your budget, the largest expense was your court and corrections at $63 million compared to a budget of $68 million. And then the next largest was your general government at $42 million compared to a budget of about $46 million. And if you look at the history of your fund balance, that has increased over the past 5 years. So you've had a good history there. As I said, you're at $139 million. And 5 years ago, that number was closer to $90 million. Just a couple other things to note. I mentioned about the pension and Opeb contributions. Certainly, the Opeb is your other post-employment benefits. So as far as your pension contributions for 2020, those were a little bit over $11 million. And then your Opeb, which is your other post-employment benefits, those were at $2.7 million. So those are two of the larger expenditures. Just a couple of things to note going forward. I believe I've talked to you about this for years because the standard has continued to be delayed, but there is GASB 87 on leases. This has been kicked down the road several times. However, it is now going to be effective for calendar year 2021. So that will be effective for your next financial statement reporting period. And basically, it's going to change how you're going to be recognizing leases in the financial statements, with all of them being shown on the face of the statement. And then there is also a project that is ongoing, looking at the financial reporting model. As you can recall, several years ago, the financial reporting model was changed, and they're looking at making some possible changes to that. But that is in the infant stages at this point. So that is just a very basic overview of the financial statements, of the financial progress over the year. So I would be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions from anyone of the council, the committee? No, I think you provided a pretty good overview. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And certainly if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to get in touch with me.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay,
good night.
thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Next, we have the discussion on the controller's report. The hotel room rental tax.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Anthony, how are you?
I'm good. Just have a few of them to go over, and I'll be as brief as I can. The hotel room rental tax is one of our rotating ones that we do for all the hotels in the county, and this one is on the Best Western Lehigh Valley Hotel. Not much to say about this one because it turns out that they were in compliance with basically everything, and they owed us no money, and we owed them nothing in the way of refunds. So there's really not much to say about that one. Is there any questions on that one, however?
Nope.
Nope.
Don't see
Okay,
any.
I'll move on.
Thank you.
The rest of them are follow-ups on older audits. The first one was on our medical claims audit, which we do every 4 years. The key issue here is that, and this is something that is consistent with our other health contracts, the dental and vision. The contracts are between the county and these vendors. However, we use the vendor's template, which unfortunately doesn't include a lot of the wording that is required from the administrative code. So in the case of the other contracts that we worked on, vision and dental, we had asked for an amendment to be signed, which both of them did. In this case, however, Blue Cross has neglected or has refused to sign any kind of an amendment. So in this case, we have to close this audit because that recommendation cannot be implemented because Blue Cross will not modify the contract in any way. Is there any questions on that issue?
How long is the contract for?
I'm not sure. I think it's a 5-year contract.
Okay.
I think the issue here is that in instances where there is, and I'm not even sure if it's just the healthcare contracts. There may be other contracts out there that we're using the template of the vendor rather than our own template. And in those instances, more than likely, you're not going to see some of the wording that's required in administrative code. So trying to come up with solutions of how to get around that.
Are they if I may, are they auditing their own administration when they do the claims? I mean, they have their own.
Well, they have their
own
own audit division, yes. And
So it's being looked at, but by their set of.
not the contract is out. I'm talking about the actual physical contract that is signed between the county, the actual claims and stuff that they have auditors and they do their work, and we basically act as a double check on that. We always have findings and all of that, but those were all cleared through the audit. The only outstanding issue here was that the contract between us and them does not have the required wording that the administrative code says needs to be in the contract terminology.
Doesn't line up, okay.
Okay.
Mr. Heckman?
Yeah, I have to ask you this thing. Is this, because we're self-insured, all they're doing is really processing the paperwork?
Well, they're paying the bills and we reimburse them.
And we
for them.
reimburse, but we're paying the bills. I mean,
Ultimately,
they're
yes.
paying, they're paying, but we pay them.
Yes.
And this has come up in the past, and I just wonder, can't remember how often this happened. But there were times when we had problems with Capital Blue Cross in that since they know the county is going to pay them regardless of what they turn in, that they may not be as quick to check on double billing and things like that. Because it's they're getting paid a certain amount whether they double bill us or not. So I guess my question to you is, over your time, and you've had a lot of time, is this a continuing problem or a very sporadic problem?
It was a continuing problem years ago when we first started these audits. Most of the problems, however, were because of the neglect on the county's part. We would forget to tell them that somebody came off, and then we would continue to get administrative bills on those people. As for duplicate payments and things that were the fault of Blue Cross, they have a very good audit division there, and they are on top of things, but we are the guys who do the double check. So if we do this every 4 years, and we do a whole year's worth of claims, it's not a sample or anything like that. So we are able to target this pretty well every few years. And then we also now are looking at the actual eligibility lists every 6 months and do a comparison between their list and our list and clean it up. Okay. So over time, there has been way fewer findings in our audits that are of a financial nature where you would find a duplicate payment or something that was misdone by Blue Cross. I mean, errors always occur, but there's nothing that I would say is problematic.
All right, thank you.
You're done. Mr. Myers?
So I'm understanding that they refused to sign the contract?
Well, they were refusing to amend the contract, and again, the contracts are signed, sealed, and delivered. There's no real requirement for them to do that. I think what happened on the part of the county probably should figure out what they want to do in instances where the contract that they're considering signing doesn't have the wording that the administrative code requires, and they need to do that at the time that they sign the contract, not 2-3 years later, because once the contracts are signed, there's no real requirement for anybody to cooperate. It's all signed, sealed, and delivered. So what I'm saying is that's what this issue was. The county approached them and they said no. So as a follow-up item, I have to close it because there's no way that I can go any further than that.
I find that a little disturbing, personally, but, I guess we gotta wait for the contract to end.
Well, what I could suggest, though, is in the future, I know I read the administrative code, and it does say that the county solicitor's office is required to review all contract formats. So maybe you can, in those instances, you can work with the solicitor's office, and when there are instances when they're using the vendor's contract, then maybe the council can decide whether or not they want to waive the wording requirements for that particular time and pass a resolution. So that was something that I thought of a couple days ago, is how to rectify this in the future, is to, when that process occurs of them reviewing the contract, if they know that there's going to be issues with regard to the compliance with administrative code, they should maybe approach you and give you the chance to say yes or no on the format. Just a thought, just an idea.
I don't think we're the only entity that they have a problem with things like that with their policies and with other, I've seen it before, myself personally, but yeah, and I'm glad that they're working on, the eligibility, which is, always a lot of work for I'm sure a few individuals. I know when they find a problem, they can go back so far. Mm-hmm. If there's a term, they can go back, I think, what is it, like 3 months or 6 months, depending on, so if there is something they find, but no, thank you. Mr. Cusick?
Yeah, real quick, I think that's a great idea. We already do waivers for certain things, and that's in the administrative code for appraisals when we purchase property if it's below a certain value. So I think it might be a good suggestion if you had a language that you wanted to suggest that would be good.
Well,
Or if
the language is
solicitor-
actually in the administrative code. These are clauses that are supposed to be in all county contracts.
Yeah.
So it's already there, it's already written out. It just needs to be in some way incorporated into these contracts that are actually the vendor's template rather than our template, because our template already has those clauses in there.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking, though, is about council being able to grant a waiver. Is that something we could include in the code? Because, like I said, we do it already for real estate appraisal.
Right.
So that's my question.
I would guess that the code is yours to do,
Yeah.
to change however you want. Whether or not you even need anything in the code to give you the authority to waive any part of the code, I honestly don't know. Mr. Spadoni would probably be better to address that for you. You may already have that authority to do
Yeah.
that with just a resolution.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the medical claim follow-up?
One last question.
Certainly.
Just when was the start of the capital contract?
With the information that I have in front of me, I am not absolutely sure.
Okay, if you can get us that, that'd be
Sure,
great.
I will
Thank you.
get you that tomorrow. I'll give that to Linda. And I'll give you the full term of it as well. Okay, moving on. I have a follow-up on our audit of the civil and sheriff agency funds. There was an outstanding issue there with undispersed funds in the sheriff cases that they handle. And that we were asking them to have a meeting with their own solicitor and decide what should be the disposition of that. They had that meeting, and apparently the determination has been made how to proceed with those cases, so that we feel that corrective action was taken on that, and that we're not planning any other follow-up on that. So that one's done. Any questions on that one?
No, sir.
Okay. And the last one is on our recent audit of the Records Improvement and Automation Fund. There were two outstanding issues there. One of them is that our plan with regard to what to do with records management was fairly antiquated, and there was a committee that was put together initially to form that. So our recommendation was to reform the committee and rewrite the plan, and the recommendation was accepted by management, but they hadn't yet done that. So we followed up on that, and Mr. Barron said that they actually were going to be having a meeting on November 8th to follow through on our recommendation. So we'll do additional follow-up on that one in 6 months to make sure that that meeting occurred and that the plan is being revised. And then the other recommendation is on there was an anomaly in the published Register of Wills fee schedule. We found that to be something that needed to be corrected, and it has been corrected, so we have closed that particular item. So on this one, we still have one open item that we'll follow up on in 6 months. Any questions on that?
Yeah, how was the fee schedule corrected? I don't recall if it was inaccurate. Usually that would come before council.
No, I think it was just where it was published, it hadn't been updated in the area where the public would see it. I think the fee was correct, it's just how it was advertised was wrong. I believe, I would have to, all I have here is the recommendation that the fee schedule needed to be corrected, but my recollection of that from the original full recommendation was that it was just in a publicly accessible document that had not been updated from when you guys last gave them the fee
Okay,
increase.
because I was just wondering, because if the fee schedule was inaccurate and had to be corrected, that would have had to have come before council.
No, I just believe that they
And
didn't
I
have.
don't have any recollection of that recently, so
No.
that's why I'm wondering.
No, I don't think you're correct on that, what that was. I think it was just how they had neglected to put it in a spot, the actual fee in, the spot hadn't been updated to what it should be.
Okay, is it on the internet?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay, well, that's where most people look for things now,
Yeah.
so, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Seeing none.
Okay, thank you. I just also want to let you know that I've also reached out to the partner from Mara Dussel to get a good working relationship in the transition between RKL and our office and the new people. We have a meeting probably going to be scheduled sometime in November so that we can make that a very smooth transition between our offices.
Great.
Okay?
Good.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks for the update. Okay. Next, we have a review of the Lvpc budget request for 2022. Yeah, that would be good, yeah.
I had asked Mr. McGee to invite some members of the staff back because I felt that at the last budget hearing, I wasn't prepared for a full presentation. I really just wanted the budget numbers, and I don't know that I heard what I needed to. So I asked for a very specific time limit and very specific what they were asking for. We had some questions ourselves because we were offering them some grant funding that seemed to respond to the things that they were stating they needed money for. So I wanted them here for clarification.
Thank you for
Hello.
coming back.
No problem. Know the folder is going around of questions that you asked the last time we were here. I know I emailed a response to everybody, but that's an actual printout of it. And there's a piece that we're going to go over as well that gets at the questions that President Bargo Hefner had just mentioned. So I'm just going to set it up and then turn it over to Bruce Ryder, our Director of Administration, and then Vicki Weidenhammer, our Controller, so they can go over some of that with you.
So we have a very specific time limit of no more than 20 minutes.
You got it.
Thank you.
So we've really seen in the county a growth of 15,216 people in the last decade, and we anticipate that growth, that to grow by 65,883 people by 2045. So significant pressure in terms of people coming here. Simultaneously, the private sector, the industrial sector, Trans Development Group puts out information on this, is projected a 6% growth rate in your industrial square footage. And the Lehigh Valley as a whole has gone from 90 million square feet of industrial, and over the last 6 years gone up to 140 million square feet of industrial, and that pressure is not going away for what, a couple reasons that Transwestern told us. One, that is that they're leasing the square footage. We have the highest absorption rate in the nation, even higher than Houston or Los Angeles, and our rents have gone up year over year, about 13%. So that's going to fuel that development pressure, which then fuels development plans review, which we have to do, but also then the need for us to go out and help communities continue to amend their ordinances, write their plans, and help them through this, because it's not going to go away. So that's just the overview on the county planning piece and why it's important. I'm going to turn it over to Bruce to talk about the specific request.
Good evening. One of the main questions that we were asked was where would the additional revenue that we're requesting go? And
Just repeat your name for the record, please.
Bruce
I know she
Ryder.
introduced you. Thank you.
I'm the Director of Administration at the Lvpc. The request was for $67,000 additional money, $67,500. And that funding would help us to fund 2 new professional staff positions to help us handle the volume of work that we've been seeing. And then on the programmatic side, there is outstanding items where a match is needed. A multi-regional freight infrastructure plan, which has a total new revenue of $280,000, and a total match of $21,464. And the Northampton County share of that would be $9,659, which is 45% of the total. Additional Unified Planning Work Program revenue of $46,000. The total match required for that is $12,750, of which Northampton County share would be $5,739, which is 45%. And then there are pending grants where matches may be needed. Watersheds Assessment Act 167 and MS4 regulatory compliance. The grant application is currently pending with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, and the county had agreed to match should we receive the funding. That total match would be $50,000, of which 45% of that would be Northampton County, and that would be $22,500. And then for Northampton County Municipal Industrial Zoning and Freight Assessment, which is the Grow Norco grant, which we were told we will be receiving. We want to thank Northampton County for that. That total is $50,000 grant.
So we're requesting the additional 67,000 for
500.
staffing. But we wanted you to see then the other things, and that's on this, that were programmatic and going on. Now, the programmatic stuff doesn't get the plan reviews done, it's additional things to help manage. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do?
I'm sorry, usually I'm kind of, yeah, I apologize. So the 67.5 is for staffing, specifically to get the reviews done. And then we wanted to let you know what those various programmatic things were, and that's why we divided them up on the spreadsheet, so you could see the difference between the two. So our budget request that you received several months ago is the yellow for the staffing, and then any of the pending programmatic stuff was below. And again, we won't know, DEP said until about, I think, December, whether we'll need that additional match or not for that. But we wanted to let you know what was in play and be kind of very transparent about what all of that is.
I think we might have been under the assumption too that some of that, some of the money that was requested wasn't specifically just for the staffing. It could also have been for some of the things that we actually just approved for you. So I think we needed some clarity here. Well, Mr. Heckman?
Well, when you're ready for questions, I have one.
Oh, well, if they're done presenting,
Can I ask a question related to that?
Sure.
please.
Okay with you?
Yeah.
All right. And it goes to the grants. I'm not going to get into the personnel right now, because this is where I came away from the meeting a bit confused. Gentlemen did discuss a few of these, and our staff was good enough to write some of this down from our meeting, just so I understand. You mentioned the multi-regional freight plan. And it said Leah County at 55, so that 55%, so that was 965,875. But that's actually would be what Northampton County would have to contribute, 965,875 cents. All right, so you're saying right now, you don't have that budgeted, that's money you don't have, and you would need money to match that?
Yes.
Okay, now let me just go, I have a couple more.
We were just awarded those funds, by the way, for the multi-regional freight plan.
But you still are asking for the $9,658. You're
Correct.
claiming you don't have that in your budget right now.
Correct.
Okay. And then we have a Federal Highway Administration, the planning formula funds, which he didn't mention, that you had come to us in the beginning, and it was for $29,000. And our 45% would be $3,262.50. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
And you don't have that in your budget now either?
No, and we were just awarded those funds as well.
Okay, now next, the Grow Greener Plus grant, which you did mention. That, for us, would be $22,500, and you're claiming that you do not have that in any of the money that's been given to you so far.
Correct. And when we applied, we had asked Executive McClure for his support, and he had provided that, but it's obviously contingent on us getting the grant.
Fair enough. And then I have, the last one I have is the Planning Work Program Funds, a $17,000 grant. Our share would be $2,475. Are you again saying that that is not in your current budget? You do not have the money for it?
Yes.
All right, so if I put all of those together,
When you answer, just jump on the mic
I'm
there.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's challenging.
so if I add those up, and this is me doing my old school math, it comes to $37,896.25 that you're saying tonight that is needed for match for grants you either have in hand or are coming to you, that you've applied for.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's all I had.
So as a follow-up question to that, did we not just grant $100,000 for the municipal industrial zoning and freight assessment? not just passed that a week or two ago?
50,000.
We passed 100,000 as a Norco grant. Did we not?
I thought it was 50.
Oh, was it 50? Sorry, I thought it was 100. And the 22.5 is what we also discussed that was promised, and you said you would honor that. So those are already taken care of. What's your salary structure for a planner? What's an entry-level planner salary?
It depends on whether they have an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, and any level of experience. And those are been benchmarked to market by an independent consulting firm that the executive committee hired about 4 years ago.
So what are you offering?
It depends, again, ranges in the $50,000 range to 61 usually, I believe. Is that about right, Bruce? Yep. And again, that's benchmarked to our market specifically. And that was part of a pay equity study as well. So we actually need more than an entry-level planner. We need someone that has some municipal experience. So we need to hire at the senior level or chief planner level. We believe at the senior planner level is where we need to hire because we need someone that actually understands the land development review process, that we have so much coming at us so quickly that we really need them to be able to pick up and not have to go through a year and a half worth of training before they can actually start to really review some of these large land development plans and transportation impact statements and other things that we need to review.
So what's the range that you've put them at in your advertising or your planned advertising? As a starting salary or starting range?
That range probably goes from,
You gotta come to the mic.
the range probably runs from 65, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but probably 65 upwards of 100,000.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Probably runs an average of 65 up to and above 100,000 for that senior level position.
And how many folks do you have now as?
Right now, we have-
Positions?
We have 16 total employees right now.
16 total planners.
No, total employees.
How many of them are planners? Because that was the
Yeah,
crux of the last conversation, was that you were short planners.
Seven, but they do different things. There's environmental, community, regional, and transportation. And so transportation planners are paid for out of the Unified Planning Work Program funds from the US DOT and the federal government.
So would you be willing to get us a copy at some point of your staffing, your budget to date with your just staff and salaries, and then the holes that you have? Who's at what point? Because you said you have 16 staff.
correct.
And you want to hire 2 senior planners. Yes?
We want to hire, a senior planner and a data scientist to help with the economic analysis information, which is critical to figuring out what the actual benefit or detriment of various types of development are.
So
That
one
position's
senior
half,
planner and 1 data scientist.
yep,
And so again,
senior to chief planner. And again, it depends on what kind of resumes you get in with the workforce shortage right now. And there's differences in educational level and experience between entry-level planner, senior planner, and chief planner.
So again, would you send us a copy of your salaries?
I don't know if we can do that, if we do
Is that
that or
public
not.
information?
Don't know. So we'd have to find that out. I'm happy to, as long as we could do it.
Okay, I would hope it's public information.
Can I just make a
Mr. Myers? Oh, Ms. Zirinsky, I'm sorry.
I just want to ask a question and direct it to Madam President. What is the relevance of asking for the salary requirements? I don't think it's the council's responsibility to micromanage who they want to hire to do their job, because as council people, we don't know exactly what they do in their jobs. I'm not a planner. I don't know what you need to do your job and to make sure that we have sufficient planning reviews. And I understand from what you said that there are several individuals who are specialized for various parts of the planning pipeline, for lack of a better word. So if they're saying that they need this for salaries for specific people, I don't see how we can say, like, no, you can't hire this person because we're not going to give you the money for it, or this and that. Like, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. Can you?
I'm going to state that I'm asking to see a review of their budget of salaries because they're asking us for money for salaries. They say they need 2 more people. I want to see where that falls in. And we do have the right to ask for budgetary information because they're coming to us to help them with their budget. So I just want to see the scope of it. I'm not suggesting I know what they do or what they don't do, but I may have future questions about that. She's asking us for money, and I want to see how their salary structure is laid out. That's all. How many people they have, how many people are in those positions, what their salaries are compared to what they want to offer. I think it's a fair ask.
I think this has a lot to do with the Budget Committee hearing that we had and where we were with where the budget is and what their ask is. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the clarity here. We just want clarity so we understand their needs. So
Okay.
I guess when we could decide on where we're going to draw the line in the sand and how important it is, so.
That's fair enough. I just would hope that we're not going to dictate what kind of person that they could hire based on the money that we're going to give them. Rather, if this is what's needed and necessary, then we have that discussion.
That's not my job. That's,
Right.
they're asking for money. I'm asking for things that I will need for myself to be able to make that decision.
Sure, I'm just clarifying to understand where this is going. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what I mean, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, all right.
Because I want to make sure that, I think the planning has an important role to do, because we have so many, I mean, we talk about warehouses all the time. We talk about development all the time. We need them as a resource, and they need to be staffed. I think staffing issues are going to be something that we must talk about in the future. And I guess salary range is a good discussion, because we see how salary ranges are fluctuating now in this post-COVID world, you know?
I don't think anybody was saying that we didn't need them or they weren't important.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right, just for clarity.
I'm just voicing my opinion.
Madam President, can I make a comment? Greg Zabrowski, Chairman, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission.
Yeah, it's his meeting.
Well, you're
Please,
president,
Mr.
I'm asking you
Dabrowski,
first.
please, you can, as long as everybody from the council doesn't have a question.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a statement.
It's your call.
I've been chairman of this planning commission for 2 years. I've watched exponential growth explode, and that means explosion in terms of development and how it's impacting the quality of life. This is not fluff. This is fact. There's a national study being done that 6% of growth is going to hit the Lehigh Valley. Preponderant growth, the preponderance of that growth is going to be in Northampton County. We have an obligation as an organization, based on the statute of Pennsylvania Municipal Code, to review plans and to respond to the communities that are being hit with this onslaught. We need staff to meet those obligations. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. No, and I think we understand that. I think, I'm not going to speak for Ms. Fargo Hefner, but I think she was just trying to get some clarity so we can figure out where the needs are. What, like the detail of the needs, not trying to do anybody's job. Mr. Heckman's first.
Mr. Lott, I just wanted to, I'll let Mr. Lott, refer to Mr. Lott.
Since
Mr.
we get
Lott?
a lot of clarification. Just, the planning commission is 100% funded by taxpayers, or is there private money also? Is there any other money besides public money in the planning commission?
No, we don't get public or private money.
It's 100% taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I mean, the only time that we would get that is for like a gala sponsorship. That would be the only time.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but it's
99% of your budget is coming from the public tax.
Yeah, or the other thing where it's different is when people put in plans for review, we can charge certain fees to review those plans. And so those obviously come from whether it's a private sector company paying us, for the review fee. Like you would at the conservation district, people have to put in a review fee with the plan, that sort of thing. But our operating budget is largely public. Those are the only two incidents I would know where it would be different.
Thank you, and just, I appreciate that, and it's, kind of a follow-up on the wage questions. I think, if you're also public employees, by the fact that you're funded by the taxpayers. Just like all of our wages are public, I think that's a valid question. What is being paid? Nobody is doubting how important the Planning Commission is at this point in Northampton County's history. I mean, we see it coming. I think at least the frustration with me is, I've sat on that Planning Commission for as long as you've been director, and I've seen a lot of great changes and a lot of really good things, but my concern and my frustration is we can't deliver what, we as council, we as our local government, you as a Planning Commission, we cannot protect our open space. And my concern is we end up satisfying for all these logistics, all these warehousing that just simply holds materials and moves materials. They're not good for our community. They're not life science jobs that bring good paying jobs. They're not what our colleges want to put their people out on these jobs. I think we're settling as a community when we take these warehouses. I would hate to see us zone out, make our zoning so tough that all we have is the warehouses. We have to figure out a way that we can have our manufacturing come in. We can have those 400,000 square foot buildings for manufacturing / the logistics they need to get their product out. Anything that the Planning Commission can do to make it tougher for these warehouses that are doing nothing but, we have enough of them. We don't need more logistics. I don't want to settle for these things. They're bad for our pollution. Our pollution's terrible in this country. I mean, in this valley. It's only going to make that worse. So I'm trying to figure out how you guys and how we can, put some restrictions on these developers. Make them put solar panels on the roof. Oh, when I talked to Majestic about that, the cost is this, out. That's too bad. The developer's going to make a little less money, but we're going to have, in the long run, we're going to have a cleaner valley to live off of. And we could go on and on. We could talk about the work crews these developers bring up. You see the workers they bring up, they're not helping our local economy construction workers. They're from Florida and Georgia they're bringing these workers up from. So I don't care if the developer takes a little bit of a bath because he has to put solar panels on or he has to, help out our community. In fact, if that can slow that logistics down, I'm all for it. Let's slow them down. We don't need to cater to these people. We need to figure out how we can bring our good life saving. And so if I'm frustrated, it's not necessarily with it's the lack of the ability to change some of these things that long term, these things are going to hurt us bad. We are not going to be able to draw life, these good jobs and these good worldwide corporate people because, Olympus came here because the Lehigh Valley was a beautiful place to live.
Yep.
We put warehouses and jam our tracks up and jam our highways up. We will not get good companies to come here anymore. So we got to make life bad for these warehouses. Not that they're coming, they're going in their spaces, they work. I get all that. I understand I'm pro-development, but I don't want to develop this valley into something that makes it an unlivable valley. And so that is my frustration. Anything the planning condition, get out there. And that's why we were talking about, we want to know the municipalities that aren't working with you. We want to get down and dirty and find this stuff out, and that's what we need you to do. A lot of things you're doing in educating are awesome, but we really need to hit this thing hard, and that's where my frustration. I guess I spoke long enough. Thank you.
I got three quick things for you, the related to all of that stuff, because I hear you for sure. And you're in the same meetings with me. Our local governments. That's why you need the commission, is we've got to go in and work with them. We're doing these multi-municipal planning efforts, which is key so they can do joint zoning. And we've got Nazareth area and Slate Belt going right now, and then we also have the River Central area going right now. Nazareth's draft goals and policies are done. They should have a plan that they can start to do their intergovernmental agreement and start to go to adoption by the end of this year. So then they immediately need to work on the joint zoning. So that can help them stop some of these things. Slate Belt is really honestly finding their way, and you guys know about the one large development that's being proposed up there that's causing a lot of drama. That's going to take all of us a lot of time and effort to keep that effort together, because most of the communities up there are frustrated with the one community that is actively opening its arms to that development. So we absolutely have to stay very close to that. I talked to some folks actually a couple days ago. We're going to try to bring them in to talk to the Slate Belt area and the Nazareth communities about joint zoning, how to do it. They don't have to give up, their individual autonomy, but this is how you do it. Here's how the Scranton area does it, and try to get examples for them so we can help support them move into that next phase. That's critically important to managing that, and that's a lot of the work that we do. The one thing that data scientist is critical for is we can actually figure out what the economic output of a development is. I've got to have somebody be able to do that, because we can start issuing that stuff out as part of reviews, saying, yeah, you're coming in and you're going to bring more taxes in, but are those taxes actually going to pay for those roads and those bridges and all that parking and all of those other things that you say that they're going to pay for or not? And so we'll be able to call a spade if I can get a person into that job. The Workforce Investment Board is willing to pay for 50% of that position as well, and that's salary, benefits, equipment, and then the software to do it. We agreed to a 50-50 split there, so that's a really good deal, because the Workforce Board is concerned because they can't get workers into these locations. They're further and further apart. It's causing issue of transit, all those things that you already know. So we even have a partner agency willing to come in with us on that piece. So those are just a couple of things that we're working on that I'm really excited about moving forward.
We have a couple more questions.
Real quick, I apologize. I know we wanted to stay on budget, and I let it off, so that was my fault, and
That's all
I
right.
apologize, Chair.
No. We have a question,
Chairman,
for.
can I answer Mr. Lott's question?
Sure.
One sentence. It's in the paper today. To answer your question, we all have the same frustration, but Martin Guitar set a good example today. The county executive
did.
was there,
Yeah,
and so
saw
on.
that.
They did that because they used money out of their own pocket to build solar panels. The answer I've gotten to numerous developers when I asked them to put solar panels, and I've had those conversations, it costs too much to build a structure that way, and we don't get any tax incentives from the state of Pennsylvania. We get them in Maryland, New York, and New Jersey. That's the answer we get. So it's an inadequate answer. It's a not satisfactory answer, but it impacts on just the issues you're raising, Mr. Lott.
All right, we have to move along here. Thank you. Let's see, who we got to line up now? We have Mr. Heckman first, please.
All right, I want to get back to numbers, because I'm confused again, which sometimes isn't hard. I just want to clarify. First of all, as far as the jobs, I don't really need to know Mary Y. or John X's salary. For me, I don't need to know who is who and who makes what. I think a job description with the salary range is more than adequate. That's me saying it, though. I mean, I don't really need to know. Frankly, I don't need that. But the other thing is, you said 16 employees. Now, is that 16 positions, and are they all filled?
Those 16 currently work at the commission.
And they're
currently.
filled positions?
Those are filled
So
positions
the
today.
3 you're looking for would be new positions?
Yeah, I mean, here's the truth. I think we can only do 2
Well, all right.
right now, reasonably with.
All right,
the way
so
our
now I
budget
want to get
works.
off employees and I want to get back to my grants, because my main concern is I want to do what's best for my constituency, which is Northampton County. And the numbers get thrown around, and that happens when we do these things, and pretty soon, we're talking nickels and dimes, and then we're into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when I asked the gentleman the question, when I went right down my grants, you said that you do not have the money in your budget as it's proposed to fulfill the matches that I listed. Yet I thought you said to Ms. Vargo Hefner, one of them, you already have the money. So I just want to reiterate, I want you to do these grants because I want us to get our share. I don't have a problem with the grant thing at all. And I know we've been talking about, you got an extra 100,000 and 50. And I don't know what that's for or what it's going for. I mean, it's become almost like a football. Well, why should we do it? You got 50. You say, well, that's not going to cover it. So all I want to know is this, if I can again. $37,896.25 worth of grant matches you have brought up to us. Do you or do you not have that covered in the proposed budget that would be granted to you if we pass the budget as it is? That's all. I just want to know.
We don't have it at this time. A lot of it's because when you apply for the grants and when you do the budget requests, they don't always align.
All right, but my point is, let's say they were all granted. Everything's granted. You're telling me that you wouldn't be able to find the Northampton County share of that money in the budget as it's proposed unless we give you that extra money.
That is correct.
All right?
Please,
That is correct.
thank you.
All right, so any monies we've talked about up to now and what came through the rescue plan or any of that, none of that would cover these. All right,
Oh.
that's what I wanted to know.
Okay.
Okay, I'm finished then. Thank you.
One point of clarification, Ms. Fargo Hefner.
When I was asking for salaries, I don't need to know Joe makes X. I just want to see 3 senior planners at ABC. I didn't need people's personal information. I want the structure. So if you would indulge me that, I would appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Zirinsky, please.
Thank you. So I want to ask a couple questions here. So your fees, are they dictated by the state? Is there a fee schedule? You mentioned something like the Conservation District. Do you have the opportunity to increase those fees on the plans?
Yes, we do set our own fees. We're in the process of looking to make sure that we are covering our expenses to do the reviews with those fees. I did an analysis of 2020, and we broke even. What we charged in fees is what it cost us to perform reviews, except for there are several items that by law we're not allowed to charge for. So those items, we're expending funds and not able to charge for.
So I guess my question then, is there room to revise your fee schedule to generate more revenue to justify or to put towards the employees that you want? Is it within the realm of possibility or the law?
Well, that's the thing, is the law piece of it. It's like,
Okay.
it takes, if we showed that we broke even when she did the analysis, we can't increase the fees. It's
Okay.
basically it. But she's gonna start looking at it frequently, and we start to see the changes, then we can bring fee schedule increases to the executive committee for approval. So we're just gonna monitor it like really closely now.
Okay, so the
Quarterly.
mechanism by which you can change the fee schedule is justified by whether or not you break even on your planning.
Correct.
So currently, you cannot do that. So it's not a source of revenue where you could get more funds to justify these employees or to pay these employees, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so these matching funds, Mr. McClure has already stated that he would match the Act 167 grant. You've already received the Norco grant. But on these grants, is it not, when you receive the grant, that you come to council and ask for it, or do we have to pre-budget those amounts knowing that you're going to come to council to ask for them?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So let's just say Mr. Heckman said the total amount that you needed already is $37,596.25, based on the fact that you've already received the Grow Norco grant, correct? Okay, so you've already received that. You've already received the grant to which we've matched it. You have not necessarily received the other grants. And so the matching portion, do we have to have that in the budget earmarked for you, waiting for you to claim it? Or when you get these grants, can you come back to us and ask us for these funds?
One of the grants we do have, and that's the multi-regional freight plan, and then the Unified Planning Work Program funds. Those are additional monies given to us for the transportation program, which requires a match. And so those actually then will go to support the safety programs that we need to do for transportation, the air quality monitoring that we need to do, and analysis for traffic impacts, those sorts of things. So those were granted to us because of the increase in population from the 2020 census numbers by formula. So those things in the light, it looks like peach color, those, it says real kind of small funding match needed, those three were funded. The only one that's pending is, now anyway, is the watersheds assessment for Act 167 and MS4 regulatory
Okay, so you've
compliance.
received the grants, you need $15,396. That's a given.
Yeah, and we weren't aware of.
Ms. Wickler has already promised that you will get the $22,500. So there's the $37,596.25, correct? So basically, the ask that you need over what we actually budgeted, which was what, $500,000, right?
575.
575. So up and above 575 that we budgeted for, you need $105,000 and $105,096.25. Am I correct? Because if I add the 37,
97, round off.
Vicky's checking.
I mean, it sounds right. Yeah, that's correct.
that's what you're asking for today. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, and there's no other way for you to get that? There's no other mechanism? You can't sell enough gala tickets, and you cannot
We can try, but.
revise your fees?
We can try, but, that's not.
That's gonna be a
real-
big
It's not
gala.
realistic, yeah. I
You
know.
gonna start a GoFundMe? No.
If that's legal, that's not a bad idea. No.
Hold on,
So-
time out.
So in the 575, you're actually asking,
We need the 67.5 for staffing. That's to run the county planning program. That's absolutely critical. The regional freight plan, that extends next year, through next year, and then it goes into the first 6 months of 2023. So we could break that up if we needed to, but we have to have the total match required. So we were requesting from the county now $9,658.75. I don't have my bifocus. I cannot see right now. I
yeah, the
apologize.
numbers are small.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
yeah, and you know
to-
what?
I'm
And
just
I- and
trying
I-
to
we-
figure
we-
out.
Yeah, but
We
we can
figured
break
20
it up if
minutes
we
for
need
this meeting, and we're 20 minutes over now. So I want to really wrap this up, and what we can do is some of these pointed questions we can ask in emails, or however we need to get the information, because we're not going to solve it today, right? But I think we got a lot of information out of it. I don't know if there's, if you want to finish on your last point, and then we can go around to Robin here and see who else has any questions.
Yeah, my only point was that I think you asked for $675,000, am I correct? 640, sorry.
Because we didn't know about the other grants coming in. They were too tentative at the time.
Okay, so that's.
So there's
the
been between when we put in and now
That's
it's
what I'm
the,
getting at, that's the discrepancy.
Yeah.
You're asking today for more than you asked for previously.
right, because we didn't know about those other things at that point.
I'm just trying to figure out what the ask was today and the other day, because there is.
I think we got some clarity today.
Yeah, like the blue line is what we asked for, and then other stuff happened in between then and now.
And then other stuff happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of good people, they want to invest, so that's good. And I just wanted to say, we started that multimodal, the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code Working Group. There's an invite in your packet to work on those challenges that the county and our local governments are facing to try to put together a legislative platform on that. That's Friday, October 29th at 10 a.m. at our office, and I know Council Member McGee is going to attend that, but you're all welcome to come to that and help out with that. It's a group of municipal managers and myself that are really passionate about getting that change to happen, so things like what Commissioner Lott's saying can stop. And it's a long game, but it's an important one. Thank you.
All right, thank you any last finishes? No? Okay.
I have to be honest with you, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm more confused now than I was before. I mean, I added the 67.5 for operational needs, and I added the 72.5 for programmatic needs. So you're saying that the current budget as proposed does not cover any of that? Is this over and above what you're getting? You went 140,000 more?
Well, some grants came in, so I wanted to.
Yeah, but I mean, see, that, for me, like if I ask a straightforward question, do you need this money for the match of the grant? And you say, yes, we don't have that now. But then if you say, well, yes, some grants came in, that doesn't mean anything to me. Does that mean you already paid our part of it, or you're sitting on it? Well, how could they give it to you if you haven't given them the match that's required from us?
It's reimbursement based, so we haven't started the project yet because we just found out.
So until you start so it's a reimbursement in the sense that
All of
these
them
aren't
are.
projects, but you can't start the project until
Till we get
you
the
have all
match.
the money.
Right,
All right, so,
which is typical with most state and federal grants.
can I ask if you can break one thing out for me? And that's all, and then I'm done. Forget your programmatic need, or your, I'm sorry, not your operational. I want to take the employee out of this for a minute. Programmatic needs for grants. How much money, grants received, grants pending, do you need from Northampton County?
That's the 37, right? And then if we have not been awarded the DEP, so that.
All right, I get it. I'm not going to hold that against you.
Yeah.
That's the
We just don't know.
37,800.
Yeah, it's the 37, yep.
All right, that's all I wanted. Thank you.
Sorry for the
If
confusion.
anybody has any, I know Ms. Zirinsky left, but if anybody else has any questions, we could email you, right? And they could learn a little bit more about it on Friday, the 28th as well. And, yeah, they just want to make sure that they justify their spend here, I believe. One more question. Ms. Fargo Hefner.
No.
Myers, please.
Thank you. I'm with Mr. Heckman. I'm somewhat confused because numbers are bouncing off of my brain like there's no tomorrow. Basically, what I think I need is, when you get this all ironed out, how about you come back to us and tell us exactly how much you need? Because right now, it's a huge question mark. We budgeted 575, correct?
Yes.
And they still need an additional 140,000. That's where I'm confused. So,
No, we had requested, the 575 is what you gave us last year, and we had requested 650,000 more for the staffing.
yes.
And then those three other grants came in, and that was the 37. And that came in after we put in our budget requests. So, we wanted to, be very transparent, let you know that happened. We needed a match for that. And then there's a pending grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. We don't know if we're going to get that yet, but if we do, Executive McClure has been very generous in saying that he would help us with that match at 22.5. So we're not asking for that today. We got to wait and see if we can get that funding or not, which we may or may not. That one's a risk, so.
Okay. Anybody else? Anyone else? Last call.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming in. I think the waters got muddied. What I really wanted to understand was the difference in the original $70,000 gap. So, and where I got confused was we gave money last week, which I thought was one of the items you originally asked for. That's what was in the minutes that Ms. Zembo took, so you could shake your head, but that's what she stated that you stated. So I wanted the clarification. I think we'll just have to go back and make a decision about what we can give you. But nobody, I can't speak for anybody else. My need to ask questions has nothing to do with what I see as your value or not value. That's not disputed. It's, we are representing Northampton County, we are representing taxpayers, and everybody wants to ask us something, and we're not an ATM. So we have to make some hard decisions about who gets what and how much. So I needed very succinct answers today about, this is the number one thing I need and for why. And I think I understand where the priorities are, so thank you for coming back in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now that we're done, we can move on to discussion of the calendar year 2022 court cost increase. Well,
Then I guess we can take it.
all right. Well, it should be in
Well,
front
my
of you.
understanding of this is that this, I think, Mr. Green did call me and say this was ordered by the state and we need to adopt it because it came down from them and we have to adopt it as ours. So
Okay.
I don't know that we have any leeway on it.
Well,
We could ask him to be here tomorrow night, but
yeah, especially if we have any questions.
I think that's only, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
I think it's I feel that's only fair.
oh, yeah,
that We need to know what
Yeah.
exactly state's telling us to do.
sure, absolutely. Yep. We'll ask the
Somebody
clerk,
from
we'll
there
ask the
needs to sit here
clerk
tomorrow.
to, sure, the clerk will get word to them and they'll be here tomorrow, I'm sure, or send a representative or someone. Mr. Lott,
Do you know, is this an annual, every year they put these out? No? Thank you.
okay. So I guess if you have any questions, they can be answered tomorrow on that. Moving on to the discussion of the American Rescue Plan Small Business Funding. We have a resolution. Oh, this one. Yeah, can we move this tomorrow night? Move it to tomorrow night, please. The court
Yeah,
costs.
I'll move
Can we
that
move
we,
that? That way,
yeah.
we'll get someone in from the courts. Thank you. All right, moving on to the American Rescue Plan. Small business funding, we have a list here of some of the grants. I see some of the folks from Economic Development are here, if anyone has any questions. If not, we can move it. It looks to me like 58 projects, total of $768,257.75. Yes,
Just out of curiosity, what is Kirkby Incorporated?
Oh, it's a retreat up in the
Oh.
Slate Bill.
Thanks.
oh, sure.
Can I just,
Mr. Kuzic.
if Tina could just tell us, are these projects new? Are there any repeats? How much money have we spent and how many do we have left in this?
Some of these now are going to be repeats
Okay.
that qualify, that received their first round in the 2020 CARES Act. So you will start seeing some familiar names as they're reapplying, and we're going through their financials to make sure that they're still qualified. So as of right now, we're probably up to about 18 million with this, which would include this round.
And how much?
We've got 25.
Would be remaining?
We've got 25.
25 million
for
is
this.
remaining still?
No,
for-
no, no, complete, total.
So that means we've spent 18, that means it's about 7
6 to 7,
remaining?
yes. No, no, no,
No,
for
this
small
is small
businesses.
business.
We're on small business.
And these are from the American Rescue Plan, and the previous ones were under CARES
CARES,
Act.
correct.
Okay.
It does say it in the first part of the resolution, too.
Yeah, just a general question, I mean, this is nice that we're handing out this grant money, but what I keep hearing, and when I go to a restaurant and other places, I hear that they still can't hire people. Do you hear the same thing? And can they use this money to raise pay to attract employees?
Yep, they can. And it is, I mean, human equity is the biggest issue right now for a lot of small businesses. So this can certainly help them with their payroll efforts if they so choose to use it that way.
Yeah, because that, to me, that's what I find. I was at a restaurant on Friday where they apologized and said they didn't have enough help. And I said, I understand, but.
Yep, sadly.
All right,
Chairman,
thank you.
if I may.
Mr. Heckman.
I agree with my esteemed colleague on the other side of the aisle. If I'm not mistaken, Tina, isn't the restaurant business, they still can pay people $2.60 an hour plus their tips?
I don't know what the waitress staff minimum wage is. I could tell you when I did it 30 years ago, it was 2 something an hour.
I don't think it's changed.
I don't think it's changed much, but.
There's an exception, I think, made in the pay because of tips, and they can get away.
Correct.
I think, and I agree with Mr. Kusick, well, maybe we don't agree to the same extent, but I would say, you know, I get it, these small businesses and that, but we've been handing out money, and I know it's been tough, but it's been tough on everybody. And I think going forward, I think people, one of the reasons are people are reassessing their situation and what they get paid and what their worth is. And I think there's a lot of people who are saying I'm worth more than $202.60 an hour. And I think these businesses, a tip would be to consider, you may have to start paying people more money. But, you know, that's not, I don't own the business, and I certainly don't want to. But and that's just a suggestion from somebody who's heard it too. I've heard the same thing. We can't find anybody to take these jobs. I think the dynamic's changing.
I agree.
First time in 40 years, but we'll see.
Okay.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Mr. Heckman. Any other questions on this one? Can we move it forward, please?
Motion to move forward.
Thank you.
Second.
The next one we have is the nonprofit funding American Rescue Act plan. And there is also a list of nonprofits that are listed in an Excel spreadsheet for your viewing. Question, I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, Mrs. Smith, are there any repeats on this one?
No.
No.
No, this is the first time that you're seeing the nonprofit ARP funding.
Okay. Okay, and I think while you're up there, Mr. Kusick also has a
I mean,
question.
you'll see some of these crossover from a hotel tax grant or Grow Norco, but specific for this purpose, this is the only nonprofit list you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, just to repeat my previous question, how much have we spent and how much is left in this item?
Nothing. If this list is approved based on the recommendation, the money that we have allocated from the ARP funding will be completely spent with this list.
Okay. Did the Center for Animal Health and Welfare apply, or did we reach out to them at all?
I think I asked that in the meeting, and
I don't think,
the answer was
no,
no.
I don't think they did not for this.
Okay, and then, you know, it's interesting that the Iron Pigs charities are on this again, and of all the grants that we've done all this past year plus, that's the first one I've had significant complaints about us doing because they are and do business in Lehigh County. So, I mean, this is the second time it's come up, and I think folks ask a legitimate question as to whether or not we should in fact be funding this. So, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, the Iron Pigs are a for-profit operation. They're
They are, but their charities are the
So they're
nonprofits.
funneling money to them, and then they funnel it this way. The thing is, I'll be honest with you, we gave them money, and I'm not going to vote for that. The rest I vote for. I mean, we're giving them the same as VIA and some of these really, really needy places. We're talking about one of the wealthiest franchises in all of baseball, major and minor. I get it. But I do remember history, and I also know that there's a lot of money there. So they've got a lot of people they can go to. I think there's other worthier charities than Iron Pigs, but that's just my personal belief. That's all.
Are you requesting to have that one removed?
Well, we can do it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
you know.
I would second that if you make that motion tomorrow.
Okay, so can we, any other questions on this or for Mrs. Smith? Okay, all right. Motion to move this forward.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and finally, we have a discussion of Administrative Code Article 13, contract being incorporated. And it should be right in front of you.
Oh, my. Wow. It's almost Halloween. I'm getting my wish. Lump sum.
Hotel, yes. Demolition of the Glendon Hotel.
Yes.
Proposal for the vendor.
Dun, 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 dun.
In the amount of $146,045.
Was this the only bid we got?
This is it. This is the final piece.
There were,
He asked a question.
there were two bids received for the project, and Bean was the lower.
So if we say yes, when can we start?
I would assume at some point in November, we would be beginning construction.
And what happens to the Sprite sign?
I can't answer
Is
that.
that coming down too?
Can I make a suggestion?
You
How about
sure?
we offer it to the Historical Society as a memento? That might be something they would be interested in if we would reach out.
I
The Sprite sign or the?
The Sprite sign, the Glendon Hotel sign, I think that might be
I would
interesting.
agree with that if Mr. Barron gets to present it to them.
Yeah,
The
the
Se-
Siegel
Siegel
Museum,
people?
yeah.
Oh. Okay.
That is
Somebody
a
want to
piece of
reach?
history.
Somebody want to reach out to
I am happy to
them?
move this forward to tomorrow evening.
Is there any questions other than the comment on the Historical Society? Okay. Did you have anything to, was that all?
No.
Everything, okay. Thank you. And thanks for all the work you did on this project here and everybody that was involved in it. It's been quite ongoing. Okay, any other business for the Finance Committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Tina?
You're still recording.
Where'd Ron go? Ron.